Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining B.J. Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Now here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on into the James Kitchen and Bar. Our man Perry is here getting ready for a busy weekend. This is the spot to be tomorrow to watch the Boise State game here at the James. They open at 11 a.m., kickoff at 1:30. They got all the big screen TVs, all the food and drink. Come on by and see Barry and Perry and the whole crew at the James here for the Boise State game tomorrow. I am headed to the airport shortly, but we wanted to make sure we stopped off and got a show into you. We just talked to Andy Avalos as well. Kind of a rare Friday appearance for Andy. So we have it was about 2.5 minutes, pretty brief, but we want to make sure we play that. He announces the hammer carrier. He announces a couple things, and we were the only one that was there to get video of it. So you're going to see this exclusive video here shortly. But we do have our man Jay Tust, sports director over at KTVB. He is up in Seattle and working extremely hard. A great interview with Chris Peterson that we saw earlier last night. I've seen some parts of that online as well. But we'll bring in our man Jay Tust. There he is. How we doing, Jay?
Good morning from
Good morning.
Seattle. How we doing?
Doing good, man. Saw you were already live. You know the time travels did wonders for you, man. We saw you like 11:30 interviewing Jeremiah Dickey and some players yesterday, and then turn on the 10 o'clock news last night, and you're live outside Husky Stadium. So nice work, man.
Hammered the 492 miles on the pavement to Seattle, Washington. Who's counting? But it's good to be here, and hey, bring that jacket with you, man. I forgot that summer is sucked out of Seattle a little quicker than it is the city of trees. So once the sun goes down, it does get a little crisp here. Luckily for us, it's that 12:30 Pacific time kickoff. So should be beautiful tomorrow. BJ.
I got the blazer. I know it's pretty crazy to think. I actually packed a blazer. I got out the sport coat tomorrow to try to look as much as I can like Jay Tust tomorrow. But no, I'm going to dress nice tomorrow. But you're right. It's going to be like 78 and sunny in the afternoon for kickoff. It's going to be a beautiful day for football. We got a lot of news going on with realignment as well. And I know, Jay, you're busy, so we appreciate you making time to jump on. I knew there was one way today I could get Jay Tust to force him in his hotel room to jump on for the show today. Not only did I pay him today for payday, but I gave him a raise for the month of September. So I kind of guilted Jay into having to join us today. So appreciate it. And my flight's in about 2 hours. I was going to attempt to do this, as I said, at the airport, and then thought about it and was like, oh, we're right here. And the James was already open. Perry's getting it ready for folks to come on in today. And I said, can I just stop off and do it right here? So missing you here at the James, Jay, but we'll be landing in Seattle about 1 p.m. Pacific time. Looking forward to getting up there, and a lot going on. And as you said, the game is tomorrow. A lot of ways we can go with this. I want to play Andy Avalos' 2-minute and 30-second video here shortly as well. He did not take questions, just gave a quick little update on what they're doing at practice today, and then announced the hammer carrier and the captains for the game. But what you wake up this morning, 24 hours, 30 hours from kickoff. What are your kind of final thoughts, I guess, as we get set for kickoff.
I was over at the stadium last night and actually ran into a buddy while I was doing my live shot. He had access to the stadium, so I got a little late night tour last night of the football offices. BJ, what strikes me is just how vast that venue is. BJ, it's gonna be a tough place to play, man. It's no joke. It's going to be one hell of a home field advantage for the University of Washington, and Boise State is going to have to play their absolute A game right out of the gate in order to really have a chance tomorrow. And it is what it is, man. At this point in time, the Broncos have to bring it. Get day one, game one, snap one in order to have a chance against the Dogs tomorrow.
No doubt. And when I was talking to Jordan Kay yesterday, I mean, he brought up something, and I think most Boise State fans wanted to put this out of their mind, Jay, but the start against Oregon State last year couldn't have been much worse in the season opener.
Nope.
And so, I mean, I think the first 8 minutes, first couple of drives, if you could, you're not going to win if you get the lead. Let's not forget they were, I think, up 21-0 against UCF and that opener, and that obviously didn't hold, but you'd certainly rather be up 7-0 than down 7-0. So I think scoring some early points and maybe trying to get a stop at early in the game just to show Washington's offense they're not going to run pass all over them in this game. I think that first quarter, and in particular those first maybe 2 drives for each team, are going to be pretty important tomorrow.
I agree with you, BJ. Man, it seems like last year's season opener was like years ago. Think of how much has changed for this program since then. And I did catch up with Chris Peterson the other day and kind of talking to him. And I mean, BJ, I mean,
awesome
we all
get,
know
by the way, on that, man. That's a lot of media members' dreams to get that interview. So nice work on that.
Well, hey, we all know the storyline, right? But for whatever reason, when he speaks, you listen and it just kind of hits a little bit differently. But for Andy Avalos, mid-season last year, to fire his offensive coordinator, have Dirk Cutter in place ready to go to be his offensive coordinator, and to salvage a season that looked like it was lost after. I mean, it didn't look like the season was lost. It looked like the program was lost after that UTEP game. I mean, you wondered what about the future of Boise State football, and he still won 10 games. Yep. Still found a way to win 10 games, right? It's crazy how long ago the storylines of last season seem, but they are still very relevant, though. And last year's season opener, it literally could not have gone worse, in my opinion. I mean, a quarter into the season, you're taking your starting quarterback, your senior starting quarterback out of the game and putting in a kid that had never played before. Granted, sky-high potential, but had never played before. I mean, it could not have gone worse for a lot of people involved in that game.
Yeah.
And this is a huge shot at redemption for the Broncos on a stage that is infinitely bigger than the one in Corvallis last year.
We've got 91 people watching this right now. When we get over 100, we'll play the Andy Avalos video here shortly as we continue to rise in viewership. 92, there we go. But on a Friday at 10 a.m., man, people are just craving kickoff, craving Boise State football, and we are almost there. Jay, what else? I mean, I think Boise State needs to have a couple turnovers in this game. I think they need to I'm going to say multiple turnovers. I think we talked about it earlier in the week. At least 2. I think you got to change field position. You got to have a couple turnovers, and on offense, I mean, you can't settle for field goals. If you get some drives going, you got to get touchdowns, man. I just can't see you winning this game with field goals.
You're exactly right. BJ, again, I said it off the top, man. Boise State has to play their A game. That means finishing drives in the red zone. That means somehow limiting Washington to 3 when they get down into the red zone. I think that I love what you're saying, man, about the turnovers, and I absolutely get it. I just don't know if you can – I'm not even saying you're saying you can bank on it, but I just don't know if you can bank on something like that to win this game because I don't – Michael Penix Jr. doesn't turn the ball over. Like, he doesn't. And he's very well protected. So, you're the likelihood of you pressuring off his backside and getting a strip sack or something, like, I don't know how likely that is. Like, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to beat this team without, really having without possibly winning a turnover battle or getting a turnover. Like, it's going to take that type of a game for the Broncos to get this done.
This is crazy. I'm putting the number at it, but 0.5. If the number of times Michael Penix Jr. is sacked tomorrow is 0.5, which way would you lean?
Do you really want me to answer that, BJ?
They got to get one, right? Come on. So there's going to be a missed assignment, something. They got to get one.
I don't know, man. You look at his average from last year, and it was about 0.5 a game.
Yeah,
and that was going against, in many cases, defenses that had much more experienced and NFL talent on their NFL talent ready guys on their defensive lines last year. So, I mean, if you made me take that betting line, I'm sorry, BJ, but I would take the under. I will say this though, that there is a thought of they're starting a young kid on their offensive line at Washington. He only weighs 275 pounds.
There's a couple starters, right? A couple new guys on the interior of their line.
I think that's the guy that, if Spencer Danielson's standing back and looking at this thing and figuring out, okay, who do we go after? That's probably the guy you go after, though. He's a little lighter. Like I said, 275 pounds. He's probably by about 25 pounds, BJ.
Yeah.
He'll be the lightest offensive lineman to start on either side of the ball in this game. So if there is a guy you try to attack, you figure him out early, I think you go after him early and see what happens, I guess, if there can be any type of snowball effect. But if you absolutely made me take that bet, I would probably take the under, unfortunately.
A lot of good comments coming in about the UCF game last night. We'll get to that. We're going to talk about the news with the ACC and the AAC with Mike Oresco coming out making some statements as well. Bronco Blameyer here in the chat, Jay. If only this were, we know this is true, but if they're not open yet, he says BJ knew there were better drinks at the James than the airport. No doubt about that, but they don't open until 10 o'clock here. Maybe we can have Perry hook us up before we get out of here. We'll see.
I'm sure they would help you, BJ.
Well, it's the day before the season starts. Why not? You got to have a celebratory beverage to kick off the season. We might be able to figure something out once they open up. Who knows? But let's hear from Andy Avalos talking to the media first. I want to thank a couple of our great sponsors, and then we're going to hear Andy Avalos, a rare Friday appearance. I do want to thank our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Check them out. One-day install. It's stronger than epoxy. It's better than epoxy. And they can help you out. They'll come for free and walk you through the process and help you every step of the way. The concrete coatings from rowpaint.com, highly, highly recommend them. Jay, we got some new graphics here. How about Paige Barsh on the Lithia Ford of Boise ad here? They've got NIL deals with Paige, with two football players, obviously, with Riley Smith and Taylon Green. So fall kickoff. And Jay, I guess right now, this time next Friday, we'll be up in an F-150 Lightning broadcasting the show. Lithia Ford of Boise, Jay, is giving away 4 tickets to the UCF game at the 50-yard line. You want to go to the UCF game, the 50-yard line next Friday, you got to come say hi to Jay and I during our appearance at Lithia Ford of Boise. Lithia Ford of Boise is giving away the tickets. But they're going to do it during our show next Friday, I believe 11 a.m., 10 a.m. We got to figure out the time after Andy Avalos talks at Lithia Ford of Boise. Idaho Central Credit Union as well. ICCU.com, the best in mobile e-branch online banking. Check them out, ICCU.com. You will certainly not be disappointed. I heard our friend Travis Hawks was going up to the game. I saw he was getting some love in the media, Jay. We love Travis Hawks. He's doing a great job, obviously, as a Boise State supporter, but the Blue and Orange Store is the spot you need to go to if you're looking for Boise State gear. So check it out, theblueandorangestore.com. If you're not in the Boise area, just go to the Boise at Town Square Mall there on the second floor. And Jay, my understanding is orange is supposed to be the color for Boise State fans to wear tomorrow. I believe orange if you're going to the game, and I think it's all blue for the home openers. Folks are wondering if you're breaking news over there. Somebody said you can't put your phone down, man. Jay's always, this is a busy time of year, man.
It is a busy time of year.
Our phone's going, and
I'm just a little bit of that realignment news, BJ. Like I said, it's crazy how quickly some of this stuff is shifting. So, we knew that the Mountain West met in Pullman last week.
Save that thought. Let's save the realignment thought for 1 second. James does say, like the new Lithia Ford ad, looks slick. I agree. Let's hear from Andy Avalos, Jay, real quick, though, before we transition to the AAC talk and then the ACC talk. There is something there I want to get to, but this is, again, a rare, maybe set this up, Jay, but I don't know of any coach in America that talks the day before a game. Now, would I prefer we could ask some questions? Yes. Would I prefer a little more substance? Yes. But Andy Avalos was willing to come over and give us 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly today to kind of preview the last thought before tomorrow's game. So here is Andy Avalos speaking with the media just a short time ago here on the Blue.
Happy Friday and welcome to Fast Friday. Today is obviously our last day of preparation for our first opportunity to go on the road and start this season off strong. We actually have the developmental guys out here right now getting a little extra work as we usually do on a Fast Friday. Them working the basic fundamentals and techniques so that we keep them sharp as we continue to develop guys and build depth throughout the course of the season. So this is a piece that goes on. And then the travel squad will come out here in a little bit, and we'll be able to have our last day of preparation on the game plan. I just wanted to let everybody know the honorary captains for this game will be Cade Beresford, who's done a tremendous job helping build an offensive line mentality as he continues to grow and develop and emerge and has become a leader within this program in his 2 years here. Dimitri Washington will also be an honorary captain, and Dimitri's been here for a long time and is pretty consistent and steady with who he is and what he's done, so we're very grateful for those guys. A guy will carry out the hammer to start the season, a guy that is true to the blue blood mentality and standard in terms of who he is and what he's done here since he's been here, not only over the course of time, but through this fall camp as well, as he's built his role on special teams as a younger guy, now has a role on offense as well, and that's Tyler Crow. So we're excited about the things that those guys are doing as well as the rest of the team. Obviously the critical factors in this first opportunity starting on the road, going in an environment like this is handling the environment, and that comes down to the preparation process and creating the elements as best we can, but having an understanding too that it really just still comes down to our training and our preparation. It's always about the fight at the line of scrimmage. This is a big physical team up front, and how we establish ourselves and stay in the fight at the line of scrimmage will help us then be successful, and really in all three phases of special teams as well. In the first game of the year, let alone every game of the year, but the first game in particular, tackling is always a big component of it. So how we break tackles, how we make tackles, especially in the open space, in the open field. And then obviously this is football, so you got to have the ball in your hands to score, and making sure that we're taking care of the football, as well as how we play in the red zone. That is going to be a huge part of this game, and so these are the things that we'll continue to work on in our last day of preparation, and we're really excited to get this day rolling.
Oh, I cut him off. He was saying go Broncos there. But Jay, anything you take away from Andy Avalos? Again, it was a kind of a pre-scripted thing. We were not allowed to ask any questions, but he was willing to come out for a couple seconds there and give his final thoughts before they had their final walkthrough today. You saw the guys not traveling. They were wearing the game helmets for tomorrow, the white helmets with the blue chrome face mask. They were in shoulder pads, getting some work in. Travel guys will come out shortly, have a little walkthrough, and then they'll board the flight and head up to Seattle. So cool for Tyler Crow to be the hammer carrier for the first game. If you had to pick five guys, he'd have probably been on my list, and not a huge surprise there. But Dimitri Washington, Cade Beresford. When he said Cade Beresford first, I thought he was going to go with the other area player, Jalen Clark, as the other honorary captain. But they went Dimitri Washington, obviously a very nice choice as well. But he said tackling is going to be key, winning at the line of scrimmage, all the things you kind of expect a head coach to say ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think for me, and a big key to this game is how the cornerbacks respond for Boise State. Spencer Danielson earlier this week, they're going to play this thing high and tight, man. They're going to get up, they're going to jam, they're going to take away easy access throws, or at least do their very best to do that. And maybe that can throw off the timing of the UW offense just a little bit. But I mean, again, for a guy that completed 65% of his passes last year, he's going to get his completions. He's going to make his plays. How quickly can you forget about what just happened and move on to the next thing? And I know that's like coach speak, but it's going to be real in this game, BJ. The cornerbacks, they're going to take their L's at times. That's the nature of playing the position, but it's how quickly you can bounce back and come up with the next stop. Because the next stop might be the stop you need to win this game. It might be the difference maker. Tackle somebody at the 1 yard line if you can. Live to fight another down. Live to fight another play. It's going to be the little victories like that could ultimately help Boise State. Here on Montlake tomorrow.
Bronco Blameyer says Tyler Crow definitely deserves it. One of my favorite guys.
I agree with you. I thought maybe the same thing. Maybe they give it to the other area kid, Jalen Clark, but at the same time.
Jay froze up on us. We'll see if he comes back here. Jay, you froze. Anybody else getting a frozen Jay Tust? We will remove him from the stream. We'll bring him back shortly. We are going to talk about realignment. There was some realignment stuff that happened. There he is. You back, Jay? There he is.
Sorry, man. Mercy of the internet, which actually has been pretty good here, by the way. But what I was going to say, though, is there are a few guys over there that are a better representation of the Bronco culture than Dimitri Washington. So good for Dimitri. Almost surprised he wasn't a permanent captain this year. But when you consider Riley Smith, DJ Schramm, the production, the longevity, the sacrifices they've made, the selflessness, two great team captains. And I'm glad to see Dimitri be one of the honorary captains tomorrow.
I think you need to freeze up for 3 seconds more often. We just got great engagement of everyone.
What happened? Oh, they turned black. What happened? Screens are gone.
All right, we got the game tomorrow. We got our coverage, your coverage. We'll get into that. Obviously, we both had a ton of coverage. You'll be live, all the newscasts the rest of the day, and tomorrow we have our pregame show tomorrow at noon Mountain Time on the BNN social media channels. We'll preview yours in just a second, your coverage, and I want to make sure we do that. But I do want to touch on the realignment news that happened just a short time ago. With that said, don't forget, check out Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. 13 locations in the state of Idaho. We've got others in the surrounding states as well. Ridley's Family Markets. Download their new app and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. United Commercial Insurance, I'm working with them on our workers' comp insurance. 229-8222, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. 44 states around the country, they can write that business policy insurance, and make sure you check them out, United Commercial Insurance. You need a dentist? How about Dr. Chris Minard? He is the Raines family dentist, the official dentist at Bronco Nation News. Couldn't be happier that we made the switch. Check them out. Locations across the Treasure Valley, 5, in fact, 906-1255. Find a location near you at BoiseDentistryCo.com. And if you need a job, how about Transportation Compliance Service? Check them out, TransComService.com. They can help you get into the trucking industry, everything you need to do, TransComService.com. The DOT overweight permits, they can help you out in no time, get you out there towing that first load. And I'm talking the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, the big rig you see on the screen there. Check them out, TransComService.com. And our friends Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate, number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher. Check them out, 243-8222, BauscherRealEstate.com. And I do want to remind you, our friends at Taco Bell, what they're doing for the community, $300,000 they've committed to Boise State student scholarships over the next couple of years to help the women's and men's basketball programs. So SON Management, our friends in the Nicolason family, support them for what they're doing. Get more information at TacoBellWorks.com. Jay, the news came out very early this morning. This was one of those mornings where I was up at 5:30 trying to get some stuff done before the flight. And Eastern time, that was 7:30. And they had a really early meeting over there, apparently, because the news came through. We started seeing it trickle out. I think Yahoo was the first I saw reported, and everybody else was soon after that. ACC is adding, and now it's official. The league has announced it is 100% a done deal. The ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, now adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. Before we get to what this means for the Mountain West, what do you make of Stanford and Cal now in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
I continue to be just embarrassed for what was the Pac-12, and I'm actually going to mention another team that was involved in that. That's SMU. SMU not taking TV revenue for 9 years. BJ, that's roughly going to be like $450 million that SMU is forfeiting or simply not taking just to be a part of the ACC conference. My first thought on that is for 9 years, who knows if the Big Ten or the ACC as we know it, the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, even, like, who knows if those conferences even exist as we know them in 9 years? I mean, that's a sizable gamble on SMU's part to make that jump. And I mean, heck, if he can do it, I would do it. And they're going to go for it. But that's crazy to me. Secondly, though, I can't believe that SMU showed interest in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 didn't make a move on them months ago, given the fragility of how fragile the conference was, right? It blows my mind. The fact that they could have Colorado left, should have swooped up San Diego State, called SMU. You're willing to not take money for 5-7 years? I heard it was 5 for the Pac-12. I don't know if that's true or not, but they were willing to take, not take TV revenue for a significant amount of time to join the Pac-12. And so the fact that the former conference known as the Pac-12 couldn't get that figured out or take advantage of that just blows my mind. And the bigger thing too, BJ, then not taking that money is the addition of the Dallas market will inflate your TV deal likely, right? And so now other teams in that conference are going to make more money. And so when you look at the Pac-12 and you say, hey, it's $30 million a year. We add SMU, you add Dallas. I don't know if you get a bump there. I'm just throwing out numbers. Maybe you bump it to $33 million a year for a team, but SMU is not taking any money. So all of a sudden that becomes $36 million a year for each team in the conference. Like, there was a path forward, and the Pac-12 failed miserably at finding it or traveling it or even thinking about a path at all to walk on. They just sat on a couch and ate potato chips and
speaking of
college football.
speaking of failed miserably, I can't remember who tweeted this, and I feel bad I can't give them credit, but think about ESPN and how badly their business, they could have had a smaller package, a sub-license of Pac-12 games for like $60 million. Yeah. And now they're paying $160 million to the same 8 teams that just left the Pac-12 because they, in their deal, they give full shares to these teams in the ACC and in the Big 12.
In this case, I'm actually happy, BJ, because thank God it backfired on them.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to look at it. But ESPN, because they put it in the clauses that if they added teams, they had to give them a full share, instead of just paying a smaller amount of money and keeping the Pac-12 alive, ESPN helps the Pac-12 die by not offering to do games. And now, by the way, you're going to pay those same 8 teams you could have had for a fourth of the price.
Yeah.
I think it was $160 million combined. They're now paying it on the hook for on a yearly basis.
It's all so much of this is so freaking dumb, BJ, because I don't know Stanford and Cal and their thought process, but if I just had to guess, some of the realignment plays in the past for the Pac-12, if I had to guess, they were kind of the ones that were sticking their nose up at academic standards and saying, nah, we're not going to do this. No, we don't want to do that. Then the conference ultimately crumbles. They're left scrambling to do something or find a place to play. They joined a conference that's primarily located on the East Coast, and they do so for a fraction of what they could have got if they stayed in the Pac-12, at least for the foreseeable future. And it's just like, what is happening? And by the way, they're going to play a bunch of their Olympic sports.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. There's so many layers of this that make zero sense, and the fact that it's like, we'll just have all the Olympic sports, as Sam points out here, meet in Dallas, so there's less road trips. That's great for the parents and for fans and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. Tell that to all the kids that in California that thought they were committing to the Pac-12 that, they could play at 4 different locations in the state and never leave the state. Like
we've got record viewership right now, Jay. I'm literally for a morning show. I think this might be the most we've ever had watching. And I don't know if that's because you're on, because it's conference realignment. Tomorrow's game day. A lot of different things. We only have a couple of minutes left. I don't want to take up all your time. I know you got a lot to do there as well. Sam does say their thought process is a combo of desperation and elitism. Simple as that. Everybody in the chat, which is probably the most active the chat has been as well. By folks that are commenting, we appreciate all your comments. Hopefully you're a paying subscriber of BNN. We'd love to have you jump on board. We still have the Game Week promo going. Just type in the promo code Game Week, and you get a full year for just $50 if you go sign up for the yearly subscription. If you're following us or finding us somewhere on YouTube because you typed in conference realignment or ACC or whatever, we'd love to have you subscribe there in the bottom corner. It's free, takes a couple seconds, and you can turn on the notifications so when we go live for future broadcasts, you'll know when we're going live. And again, that'll start tomorrow with the pregame show. But Jay, as we spin this quickly and wrap this up to the Mountain West, looks like there's 2 options remaining now because the AAC, I haven't seen the statement, I don't have it in front of me, but the AAC has come out and said they are not expanding westward. So it looks like we're down to 2 options here. With the simple one, which is probably what happens, just Oregon State, Washington State, just join the Mountain West. And the Mountain West goes to 14 in football, 13 in the other sports. I still wish they would at some point try to engage Gonzaga. I think that'd make a lot of sense to even out the sports and things since you have Hawaii and football only. But I think that's the most likely is they just join the Mountain West. But there's money involved. There's NCAA tournament shares. There's also a lot involved. The chances, there is an opportunity, I guess, a possibility that these 12 teams merge with the Washington State, Oregon States, but it's now under the Pac-12 brand. What do you think is more likely? What do you think happens here?
Well, first off, when it comes to these expansion talks, it's crazy how quickly this stuff can move and can change. We all have our sources. I feel unbelievably confident in mine that for a while now, the AAC had a meeting scheduled in Pullman that was supposed to happen on Tuesday, and it's happening so quickly, BJ, and Pete Thamel. I mean, dude is unbelievable at what he does. I'm telling you, man, some of these guys had this story before very important people were informed of it. So I don't even know if that meeting's been canceled on certain people's end yet, to be honest with you there, BJ, but we'll kind of wait and see that one out. But yeah, after the Mountain West went to Pullman, last week, the AAC was supposed to Zoom and have a presentation, and they kind of changed their tune, and they said, okay, no, we're going to come to Pullman and head out west. I'm assuming they would have met with Oregon State too. And, not long after today's news broke, Thamel tweeted out that the AAC is no longer engaged in expansion talks. And like I said, BJ, that happened so quickly that I don't think that, other players that are involved in this thing knew about that. And so I don't know if there's any hurt feelings or not, because I don't know the likelihood that Washington State or Oregon State would have ended up in the AAC to begin with. I think more than anything, it was a leverage play. And maybe that's the AAC seeing through all this, like, if they're just going to try to leverage us, if they're not going to take us seriously, then why are we going to take them seriously? But, it is as obvious as everything seems right now.
Yep.
Oregon State and Washington State are going to end up playing, in a conference against current schools, from the Mountain West. I don't think that we're going to see like the absolute answer as quickly as you might think. I mean, like right now you're like, okay, well, it's done. Just do it. Right.
Yep.
But there has to be an evaluation process of the assets that are left in the Pac-12 conference. And I know you're thinking, oh, there's only 2 teams left. Well, yeah, but there's like, when it comes to the Pac-12 networks, I mean,
and they get to keep the NCAA tournament shares, and there's a lot of money sitting around that would go if the Pac-12 dissolves, the other teams that left still get some of that money. If the Pac-12 remains, all that money would go to those 2 teams plus the teams that join.
I think all that
just don't let George Kliakoff or whatever his name is remain the commissioner. Right. It's got to be Gloria, right?
I agree with that. But that's what I mean. I just think that there are a lot of things that have to be figured out financially, and I don't think I just think that some of that stuff will take time. Like you can only expedite these things so much. Like there's an evaluation process, and once all that plays out, then that's when we will all find out. Is it the Pac-12 conference or Pac-X is, the president of Washington State once referred to it as, because we don't know how many teams are going to be in the league, or is it the Mountain West Conference? And the one thing for me that I'm going to cling to here, BJ, that I think is intriguing, again, about shifting over to the Pac-12 conference is not only money. Well, it is money, actually. What am I saying? But there's another aspect to this, and that is the Mountain West has shown a lot of loyalty, right? And Gloria said that they're going to stick together and all this stuff, right? But we have seen in realignment, you have to trim the fat. Like you have to do that in order to make your conference's value as possible in an attempt so that teams don't leave your conference. And there are I'm sorry, but there just are programs in the Mountain West that don't bring a ton of value to the conference, which means they are the Washington State and the Oregon State of this league, right? And so what those schools were to the Pac-12, I should say. And so if you do change conferences, it might, or at least by title, it might give you that opportunity to quote unquote trim the fat, and that way it increases the share for everyone. And so
you're saying like Hawaii enjoy the whack again?
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, Wyoming, San Jose State, like these are schools that now I would be sweating if I was them now. Like I think if you're a school like Boise State, this is exactly what you wanted to happen with what was left in terms of Stanford and Cal leaving the Pac-12 to join the AAC. It leaves Washington State and Oregon State there ripe for the picking. And those schools will absolutely increase the TV value of the future Mountain West TV deal. They absolutely will. I know that I don't know by how much, but I think it will be a nice amount. Respectively for a school like Boise State, like they get $1.8 million in revenue share above any other team in the league. If you add Oregon State and Washington State, everybody in the league is going to get a nice bump if you were able to add those 2 schools. And if you can, again, maybe weed out a couple of the teams that don't really add anything, then it gets even bigger. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, the debate on what teams it would be certainly could go on, because I could come up with 3 or 4 that don't bring a ton. But by the way, Jay, go ahead.
I was just saying, this is the crazy thing with this is I would feel awful for those programs, because where do they go? Like,
what about the AAC, by the way? This person is sorry to cut you off, but Nicholas brings up Memphis and USF. Like, any chance the Mountain West doesn't stop with Oregon State and Washington State? I mean, final thing, I guess, but any chance the Mountain West now tries to go get Memphis or some of these AAC teams and just pilgrimage them as well? Is that possible, or do they stop at Washington State and Oregon State?
I think, man.
By the way, that mic you're using there, I saw you used it for the Kellen Moore interview. I should have put a BNN sticker on it or something before I gave it to you. I want some royalties. That I paid $200 and something to give this great podcast equipment to Jay, and now he's just using it for all of his KTVB. I'm glad you brought it. You thought to bring it today, though, for the hits.
I did think to bring it today, and I was set up ready to go for in a very similar location when I interviewed Coach Pete. I was set up in a very similar location to the BNN show
season
on
preview
season
show.
special. Yeah. So, God, I forgot what we were even talking about after that there, BJ.
I'm trying to end the show, but you keep talking. Something about whether or not Memphis or USF or any other AAC school
go after Gonzaga.
Join the Mountain West.
I will preach this with you. Get Gonzaga. Go get Gonzaga. And then see what happens after that. If you get Gonzaga, all of a sudden the conference, Memphis kind of a basketball school. The conference becomes more attractive to them. Go get Gonzaga and let the rest take care of itself. But that would be that'd be one hell of a power play. I know that Mike Oresco, people have opinions about him, I guess, right?
Yep.
He's always been a guy that he's never been afraid to offer hype. I don't even know how to phrase that. It's just I look at it this way. I'm just going to go I'm going to present the exact opposite scenario. Like I've heard Gloria Navarez, she doesn't really want to throw out projected TV numbers at the moment. I don't think she wants to overpromise and under deliver. And how amazing is it that like you see that out of a commissioner today, because all the Pac-12 has done is said, no, we're getting this. It's going to be unbelievable. We're doing this. It's unbelievable. And then the conference disintegrates. So I think that's a refreshing commissioner to have lead a conference.
What do we got coming up on? We got to get out of here, Jay. I got a flight to catch. You got stuff to do. I appreciate your insight, but what do we got coming up on KTVB the next 24 hours leading into kickoff?
I'm just gonna pump the blueprint, man. Today I'll be live at 4, 6, and 10 on the newscast, but from 4:30 to 5:30. It's just kind of a little bit of a different take on a preseason preview, I guess. I try to highlight the character. As you know, BJ, it's not like we get a ton of access, right? So I just try to take a little bit of a different angle at some of the access maybe we do get. And there are a couple of little cool things in there that I was able to do, but I'm just going to pump the blueprint, man. It's a fun thing. I put a ton of effort into this, and it was an absolute sprint to get it done because I was on paternity leave through the first week and a half of fall camp. But 4:30 to 5:30 on KTVB tonight, and again from 8 to 9 tomorrow morning. You can also watch it on YouTube and all of our other platforms.
Oh, I heard you were over at KTIK. I just assumed that you pulled the BNN video you already needed since you didn't talk to me. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing BNN hopefully make an appearance on this show, Jay.
Your mic flag is all over it, you big jerk.
Oh, man, Jay, appreciate it. Thanks a lot for your time. And thank you to everybody that checked out the video. I think I kept taking a picture, Jay, when we reached these numbers because we're higher than we've been. I think I have about 15 pictures on here because the number kept going up. But we're at 155 right now watching the show, which is pretty cool for a morning show. Thank you guys for checking us out. Thanks for commenting on the YouTube chat. Again, make sure you subscribe on YouTube at the bottom of the screen. And subscribe to our site as well. Game Week is the promo code, and you get a whole year for $50 using the promo code Game Week at BroncoNationNews.com. So we'll be watching the Blueprint this afternoon. Pregame show tomorrow on KTVB. Pregame show at noon Mountain Time on all the BNN channels as well. Enjoy your Friday. It's going to go fast, or maybe slow. I don't know. Getting ready for kickoff tomorrow, and we'll have you covered. KTVB, Bronco Nation News. And looking forward to tomorrow's game. So, Jay, appreciate you, man. We'll see you there shortly. Everybody have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy the Gatlin Bear game on the Blue tonight if you're heading down for that. And we'll talk to you at noon tomorrow live from Husky Stadium on Bronco Nation News. Have a great day. Bronco Nation News live, BroncoNationNews.com.